Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Case Western Reserve University School of Law and the Northern Ohio ACAMS chapter. I want to welcome you to our non-fungible token NFT fraud and money laundering risks of emerging NFT technology and trade event. I can get my slide to advance, sorry. There we go. We want to go over a couple of housekeeping items here for everyone. As a participant, you are muted from the presenters and from each other. In order to get a question in or make a comment, please use the Q&A to ask your questions. The chat will be used to inform participants of additional information. And that will also include the CLE. So Patty, I don't know if you want to take a moment and explain that to everyone.
Sure, John. Hello, this is Patty Harbold, and welcome to tonight's event. Just a little information about CLE. The CLE activity code will be given near the end of the session. I will put it into the chat function of the program. So be sure to look there. Also in the chat, I'll put the link for the CLE form that you need to fill out. So again, the link in the chat will be in the chat as well. Also, you should have received the link when you registered for our program in your response email as well. If you still have some questions, please feel free to email me, P as in Patty, M as in Mary, K as in Kite, 10@case.edu. That's pmk10@case.edu. And I hope you enjoyed tonight's event. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Patty. Just want to give a thank you to the chapter sponsors, KeyBank, PNC Bank, MGM Northfield Park, AML RightSource, Notre Dame College Center for Intelligence Studies, and of course, Case Western Reserve University School of Law. All right, for all you ACAMS chapter members or ACAMS members in general, make sure you're reviewing and updating your ACAMS profile at acams.org as needed. I know many people change jobs, change emails, contact information. That becomes a centralized source for ACAMS to get a hold of you and send out information about events such as this. For the Northern Ohio chapter, if you do make your changes at acams.org, you also need to email the chapter at noh.acams2014@gmail.com. Again, make sure you send the information about your profile, changes that you've made, especially the contact information, if you've changed jobs or employers. We kind of like to know that so that we have a good idea of who's in our membership and who's on our mailing list. So this evening, it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker, Ryan Dees. She's a compliance and ethics director at Walmart. She's an NFT entrepreneur and founder of FemFi and MetaMoms NFT. And she maintains her CAMS and CFA designations, along with 10 years experience in the financial industry. She's also a board director of our chapter. And before her role at Walmart, Ms. Dees was MoneyGram as an AML compliance officer, has her bachelor's in criminology from Kent State University. And a fun fact about Ryan is she's a avid juicer. So I think that's one thing she's made public out there on her LinkedIn profile. So with that, Ryan, I will go ahead and stop sharing my screen and turn it over to you.
Hey, thank you so much, John. And thank you for the introduction too. I was surprised to see that little fact about juicing. Yeah, I've changed quite a bit in the last couple of years. I never thought I would be much for vegetable juice and things like that, but here we are. So nor did I think I would be ever presenting on the topic of NFTs and Web3. Just as, recent as a couple months ago, I was brand new to this space and have a background in financial services, but nothing technical. I'm not a web developer. I have nothing to do with that side of things, but really piqued my interest back in December. And then from there have just been doing a lot of self-education, a lot of research, a lot of getting involved, from buying and selling, trading NFTs. And it's just been so fascinating to me. And we really are on the brink of this, huge shift and huge change in the internet as we know it. So it's a truly exciting time, and we are so early to this right now. So you guys are in the right place, continuing to educate yourselves too, and kind of follow along this journey and be part of it. But with any new technology comes the money laundering risks and fraud risks associated with that. So what I'd like to do is just kind of give you guys a basic understanding of what NFTs are. And then, where do you even buy these things? What the heck does that even look like? Because those are all questions that I was asking just a couple months ago. I didn't even know what website I would begin to look into these things to see what they even were. So if that's you, have no fear. If you want to learn more about it, it moves very, very quickly, and there's a ton of information out there that you can really self-educate. So not to spend too much time on myself, but yeah, he did an introduction for me, but yeah, I worked for various size financial institutions, and then had experience at an MSB as a compliance officer. Prior to that, just worked at various banks, financial crimes investigations from the brick and mortar branch location, and then also electronic investigations as well, which brings me to my new role here as of 2019. A compliance director here at Walmart, also overseeing the financial services aspects at Walmart, but every single other area of compliance as well. So your OSHA, food safety, product safety, firearms, alcohol, tobacco, you name it, there's a compliance component to it. So that is my day job. And then at night, I do run actually 2 separate NFT projects. And if you don't know what a project is in the terms of NFTs, that's okay, because we'll talk about that too. But essentially it's a company. So I've been pretty busy, but it's been fun, and it's what I'm passionate about. And I love teaching, training, and really helping others along the way, and empowering others to really do more than they ever thought possible. So we will get started. And I know a lot of you come probably from different backgrounds. Maybe some already have experience in blockchain technology. Maybe others are more on the banking side, or maybe students. And that's okay. So I kind of took that approach to where, we're going to spend some time just talking about what leads us up to NFTs, because to understand an NFT, you really have to understand what the blockchain is first and foremost. So what is the blockchain? So it's a digital way of recording information. And really this makes it impossible to change, hack, or cheat the system. So when we think about traditional banking systems, counterfeiting documents, things can be forged, things can be changed, documents get lost. This is a way to circumvent that. So we're shifting towards this blockchain technology in our society today. This is not a brand new technology. It's been around for a long time, but it continues to evolve just like anything else. And blockchain permits transactions to be gathered and recorded, and it's stored on a ledger, which is accessed by different servers. So they're able to identify that data and read that ledger. And different items that can be stored on the blockchain chain include, but aren't limited to, contracts, also known as smart contracts, digital images, videos, music, non-fungible tokens, which is what we're talking about, cryptocurrency, and more. So that is blockchain, where we really need to start. And then from there, most of you all have heard of cryptocurrency. That's been around here for a while now. And as more mass adoption has happened with cryptocurrency, I know it used to, be in the back of our minds like, well, cryptocurrency, that's a scam, or that's just used to commit crimes, or used on the deep web. So now it's becoming more mainstream and more mass adoption, which is what will happen with NFTs as well, but we're not quite there yet. So cryptocurrency is a type of currency that exists digitally and does not rely on a bank to verify those transactions. So it's self-executable. And it's a peer-to-peer system that enables anyone, anywhere to send and receive payments. And then instead of using physical money, using cryptocurrency records that transaction on the blockchain, which is that public ledger we talked about. And then your cryptocurrency is stored in a digital wallet. So you have to have a wallet there on your iPad or your phone to be able to access your funds. So it brings us to our next thing. So what is Web3? And we'll get into more details about this throughout the presentation. But Web3, if you've heard that buzzword before, because I had no clue what is about to happen with our internet. But Web3 is a new internet that we are on the brink of right now. And really, it allows us as people as creators, as developers, whatever our background is, it allows us as people to take our power back. And what I mean by that is it doesn't require us to hand over our personal information and personal data to companies the way we do today, like Facebook and Google, in order to use their services. So right now, when you sign up, you're providing information, you've got location services turned on so they know where you go. You follow certain things that you like, you engage with a certain audience, and all of that is money to these companies. They sell that information and then use it to offer you products and services that fit your wants and needs. So Web3 aims to change that and create a decentralized internet where data, pictures, art, information in general is not owned by a specific corporation or entity, but instead it's shared among the users. So if you think about, a simple example would be Google Images. So if you're looking for a logo or you're looking for, a picture of any kind, you go to Google Images, you can right click and save that. And 8 million people could own that on their desktop, that same exact logo, same exact image. And the person that created that is never credited for that, never compensated for that, never recognized for that. So Web3 is a way to start to take some of that power back and provide creators and innovators and musicians and artists, you name it. It's a way to provide them with the credit they deserve, the compensation they deserve, and it's not owned by a single entity. So hopefully that makes sense on Web3 and what we're transitioning to right now. Now, also, we've heard this term, the metaverse. And a lot of times, the reason I wanted to start with this is because a lot of times we hear these used interchangeably. We hear NFTs, we hear metaverse, and we hear Web3, and we don't really understand what the differences are or if they all mean the same thing. So the metaverse already exists, and it's a network of 3D virtual worlds that really are focused on one thing, and that's social connection. So if you think about, COVID, when we're all locked down, people were using this. It wasn't as mainstream, but think about a time where, hey, if we can't go to work and we can't go to meetings and we can't, socialize with people, we've got a VR, a way to enter a virtual reality and, have coffee with somebody or play a game with somebody or go to a concert. We can do all of these things with that metaverse technology that's becoming more mainstream. So it's a place where we can really spend time interacting with friends and colleagues. And the crazy part is that in real life, money is exchanged in the metaverse, which is what, a lot of people have a hard time wrapping their mind around because they view it like a video game. And that's not necessarily money that transfers in real life. It's video game money. But this would be, right now, I think it's Snoop Dogg that owns so many acres in the metaverse because he's been very involved. So people are buying land like crazy in the metaverse to live next to him. People are buying land in the metaverse to build casinos, which presents a whole new risk and new opportunity for money laundering, or to make money, in a legitimate way. So if you own a metaverse casino, people can come there with their virtual reality headset and gamble their real money, and the profits, you walk away with those as that owner. So a lot of cool things being done in the metaverse, and it just is ever evolving and just continues to change very, very quickly. Let me not skip ahead. So metaverse and NFTs are really, really important for businesses. So with the rise of digital commerce, and that really sped up here with COVID. If a company did not have a delivery process Think back to Walmart, like where I'm at, I got a front row seat to that. So we didn't necessarily have a good delivery straight to your home process of groceries and general merchandise. Well, it really sped that process up because we had to meet people where they're at. Well, the metaverse offers even more opportunity for that and for buyers and sellers to connect in a completely new way than they ever have before. So if you imagine a website or a shop on Instagram becoming a more immersive experience with the option to buy physical or digital goods. So companies are already getting really, really involved with this. I'm sure everybody saw that Facebook rebranded as Meta and has invested millions, if not billions, into this space already. And it is growing like crazy. And other tech giants, retailers, and others are now following suit. So Nike, Adidas, all of those, retailers are jumping on board and starting to figure out how to meet their customers in that space. And it's just going to continue to bring more and more shoppers and a totally new e-commerce strategy that we haven't seen before. And I think for those that follow Gary Vee, he said it best. Companies are going to need to develop an NFT and metaverse strategy the same way they needed to develop an internet strategy in Web 1. So the very first internet that we knew, we all, for the most part, probably remember that shift from buying physical goods in a store to, wow, now I can buy this merchandise online. So it's that big, it's that revolutionary, and it's going to change shopping and the internet as we know it. So it's a pretty cool time. So the next kind of key element to understanding NFTs is, what is a smart contract? So smart contract is really a tool that operates on a blockchain, and it's essentially a sale agreement. When we're talking about NFTs, we're talking about a sale agreement between the NFT owner and the buyer. And it, like a vending machine, essentially. And smart contracts are self-executing, and they're able to verify automatically that terms of the contract have been met and execute those terms without the need of an intermediary or a central authority. And those are again built on the blockchain. NFTs always run on smart contracts, and those smart contracts govern the action, such as verifying ownership, handling transferability between one person to another. And anything in real life that currently runs on a paper contract could at one time in our lifetime become digital and achieve the same goal via smart contract in an automated way. This is already happening. They're already starting to execute leases, execute home purchases with smart contracts via NFT. You can buy land in some places and purchase an NFT, and then that's, in the smart contract, you own that land now. So this is happening right before our eyes, and NFTs might sound like a crazy abstract concept right now, but the underlying technology is huge, and that's what continues to be the driving force and the change that we're seeing. So that brings us to NFTs. So what the heck is an NFT? We hear this acronym all the time. Some of us even know what it stands for, but we don't know what that truly means. So an NFT, non-fungible token, is a type of digital asset that's stored on the blockchain, like we mentioned. And when an asset is fungible, for example, a Bitcoin, that means it's equal to or interchangeable for another Bitcoin. And that's just an example. So it's two things that are equal. There's no defining or unique qualities for that specific coin or that specific item, whatever we're talking about. This would also apply to things like gold, oil, or the US dollar. So you could trade $1 for another dollar, and that would be a fungible asset. Now, when we're talking about non-fungible, that means it's unique and it's not interchangeable with another one. So a kind of simplified example of this would be a front row seat to a concert and a back row seat to a concert. So those would not be equal. They can, you could trade them, but that wouldn't make much sense. So they should not be traded or transferred for equal value because they're two totally different things. So that's a simplified way to kind of explain what non-fungible is. That would be an example. This is actually a JPEG because it's not on the blockchain, but this is an NFT, just not in the form of this presentation, but that's an example of one that's actually our MetaMoms NFT. So just wanted to kind of provide a visual of what that actually looked like, but many of you have probably seen those out there before. So this looks like a lot of information. It's really not, and I'm not going to read it all, but I feel like for you to understand this whole Web3 world and NFT world, and it truly is a world. Like it's this totally, unique place that I didn't even know existed. And there's amazing communities being built, and there are just, people that would go to bat for you that exist in this Web3 world. So it's really important to know a couple of these key definitions when you're talking about NFTs, because it's truly another language. And there were probably, hundreds I could have picked and put on here, but these ones are probably the most prevalent and the ones that are probably the most key to understanding what people are talking about. If you're looking either to get involved from an investment standpoint, personally, or if you end up involved on the legal side or maybe on the investigation side, these key terms will be important. So first one's airdrop. That, normally we think about airdrop like I'm going to drop you some photos from iPhone to iPhone. It's essentially the same thing, only it would be from your digital wallet to somebody else's digital wallet, and you're essentially dropping them an NFT for free from one wallet to another without them having to exchange any money.
Hey, Ryan, can I break in
yeah.
here real quick for you?
Yeah. Sure.
Quick question here that came in is, the question is, since Bitcoin's blockchain analytics are unique to each Bitcoin, couldn't it be argued that Bitcoin itself is an NFT?
Not that I'm aware of. I've never heard it referred to as an NFT. No, because, and I understand what you're saying about the uniqueness there, but no, I have not been referred to or have referred to Bitcoin as an NFT, nor have I heard that in the community. But that's a great question, though. If I hear different, I will definitely let you know.
Super,
great question. So next one here is AMA. This is a big one too that I had, no idea what that meant, but it stands for Ask Me Anything. And this is used by people who are opening themselves up for a session where their community can ask them any type of question. And if you don't know what I mean by community, you will hear very soon. Bot, that's just, if you have a tech background, it's, you're familiar with what a bot is, but automated software that performs specific actions. That these are utilized frequently in some of the NFT platforms that exist today. Next one is a DAO, so decentralized autonomous organization. So these are becoming more and more prevalent every single day. These are separate from NFTs, sometimes a group of people, or maybe those that are involved in an NFT project, they want to form a DAO, which would kind of be like an LLC or something like in our business world, business terms. But instead, this is not governed by one single person or entity. And they have their own set of rules and their own, treasury and things like that. So it really is just a kind of organized way to organize yourselves in Web3 and the NFT space by creating a DAO. DApp would be decentralized application, which you'll start to hear that term more and more as we move into Web3. It's essentially a software application that partially runs on a distributed network, which would be the blockchain, instead of a centralized server. So it has the ability to decentralize information and services. And there's not one single entity that has total control over the services or the application. DeFi is not a new one. You've probably heard that before, but if not, that's fine. It's decentralized finance. So this would be the opposite of CeFi, centralized finance, which would be where a company or bank has control over your money. And DeFi, no one but you has access to it. So both crypto and dApps play an important role in DeFi, which are also tied to those smart contracts we talked about. If you hear the term delist, that just means, hey, any NFTs you have out there that are listed for sale, delist those, get those off the website and don't put those up. Discord, I have a love-hate relationship with Discord. This I see this changing in the near future. We're going to actually walk through what Discord is, but it's, if you guys are gamers or you know somebody that is, Discord was kind of created for the gaming community, but it's completely taken over the NFT community, and it's one of the most popular social media platforms in NFTs right now. Most NFT projects have Discord channels to keep the community engaged, informed, post announcements, things like that, but so easy to get scammed on there. So as we see more mass adoption and things changing, there will have to be, replacements for these type of platforms, because they're just not sustainable in the long run. And people are continuing to lose money every single day utilizing platforms like this. DYOR is do your own research. So you'll hear that one a lot too. People will recommend a project or say, hey, you might want to buy this NFT or buy that one, but DYOR, as a way to kind of cover themselves in case they buy it and it goes south. So always do your own research in this space. ETH is short for Ethereum. So that would be the most popular primary network for NFT trading. So those of you that are not familiar with Ethereum, Bitcoin was kind of the first cryptocurrency that we knew. Ethereum was kind of a second runner up for that. And then since then, there's been a ton more that have come out that do a lot of NFT trading, such as Solana or Polygon. But right now, Ethereum is the preferred method for trading NFTs for the most part. Floor price is another big one. I had said, what the heck does this even mean? Floor price means it's the lowest price listed of an NFT in a project. And we'll look at that here in a second, but doesn't necessarily mean that's the one you should buy if you're looking to get into a project. However, it could be a good entry point for new joiners. So floor price just means, hey, this is the cheapest one in here. So that becomes the floor. So which brings me to my next one. Sweeping the floor refers to someone or a group of people that are buying NFTs and keep buying NFTs listed at the lowest price. So they just want to get the cheapest ones possible and sweep the floor to raise that floor price up. Gas. So when you hear about gas fees, Ethereum has extremely high gas fees. And that's part of the reason, again, that this won't be sustainable and that we won't see mass adoption until there are changes made to the NFT trading process. Because right now gas is just not, sometimes the gas costs more than the NFT does. So it's essentially just a transaction fee to record the sale and the information on the blockchain. IRL refers to in real life. So there's a lot of, obviously community involvement online and in chatting online when you're talking about blockchain and NFTs. So they talk about your in real life or personal life as IRL. Minting means it's produced for the first time. So if you ever hear the word, I'm going to mint that NFT, or when does the NFT project launch their mint date, that means essentially putting it on the blockchain for the first time. Mods are moderators for a Twitter or Discord channel, just to ensure a healthy, active community around NFTs. PFP is another big one that just means profile picture, which is what a lot of these NFTs are becoming. Rug pull we'll get into in the next slide because that has to do with fraud scams. Secondary market, that would be probably the marketplace that if you wanted more information and wanted to actually start buying and trading NFTs, you would go to OpenSea. That's the #1 NFT trading platform right now. Shilling is when someone promotes an NFT project on social media as a marketing strategy. And then WAGMI, they use that term a lot too. It means we're all going to make it. So just to describe future state of, where our investments have great returns, they say WAGMI to kind of get positivity flowing through the community. So what are some NFT use cases? So what the heck are these even about? I mean, people always ask me, why would I want to own a digital monkey? I can just right click and save it. I can screenshot it. It doesn't make sense. So here's some use cases for NFTs. So first one is gaming. So online games, a lot of times owning a rare weapon or skin would give you a big advantage in that game. And often players sell or exchange these items with each other, not realizing that all the objects truly don't belong to them. They belong to the game developers. So say, I used to be really involved in this game, and I bought all this stuff and I bought these skins and all this, I spent all this in real life money. Now I don't want to play this game anymore, and I'm kind of over it. So what happens to all that money I spent and those items? Nothing. I mean, it goes with the game and I'm done with it. So NFTs change that, because now you can go out to OpenSea, like I mentioned, you can purchase an in-game item if the game utilizes NFT technology. When you're done with that game and you're bored with it or want to give it away to somebody else, you can resell those items and make your money back because you truly own it and it's recorded on the blockchain. Another one, and this is the one that we've all heard the NFT buzzword around, typically has to do with art. So until recently, all art created on the internet really belonged to everyone. It was nobody's to claim. Their ownership cannot be proven, and we didn't know who the original artist was. And the use of others' photos, pictures, logos has really become normal in the way that we see the internet today. So with NFTs, artists can now control their artwork with proof of ownership that's stored on the blockchain. Next one's collectible. Yeah.
Quick question here. Can NFTs be used for portable DeFi and invoice financing?
That I don't know. I don't have an answer on that yet, unfortunately. So,
okay,
great question. I'm taking a note of it real quick. Okay. Next one is collectibles. So NFTs do provide a new type of use for collectibles. So imagine the value of receiving a digital collectible created by your favorite celebrity or sports star. So a lot of celebrities and sports stars know this now, and they are taking advantage of this. They really expand the list of collectible items and no longer are limited to just baseball cards, coins, or stickers. The next one is virtual assets. So we are getting away from the .com and .net and .edu era. As we move into Web3, domains will become more prevalent that are .eth, .crypto, .x, things like that we're not typically used to in this Web 2 phase. But you can actually own your own domain, and instead of buying it on GoDaddy or one of those platforms that we would today, you would now own your domain by recording it on the blockchain. And there's websites out there you can do this right now, and people are already taking advantage of this and buying Google.eth and Google.x and selling them for crazy amounts of money. So land in the metaverse too, that can now exist thanks to NFTs. So as a way to record that digital asset that you own, NFTs have allowed that to happen in the metaverse. And then the last NFT use case, and there's probably more than this, but these are the bigger ones. The more well-known use cases are just straight PFPs. And what I mean by that, if you remember from the last slide, is profile pictures. So there's some really large NFT projects out there right now that are probably the most well-known in the space. World of Women, Boss Beauties, Bored Ape Yacht Club is the one most people have heard of. Those are what I mean when I refer to NFT projects. It's essentially a company, and the NFT is a share, and you become part of that community as a shareholder. These typically come in collections of 3,000 to 10,000 unique designs with various traits. And what I mean by traits is, this one has diamond earrings and this one doesn't. This one has a feather in its hair. This one doesn't. So yours is truly different. And you become part of that community and receive benefits to owning one of those NFTs. So when I get asked that question, why would I want to own a digital monkey? It's more than that. You receive utility and benefits to being part of that, to buying into that community. And, we all communicate something by what we wear, where we live, what we drive. So it's really just another social currency, if you will. You're able to say, hey, look, I'm part of this community. And not only that, a lot of these are creating job opportunities for people too. They're able to not only, if they don't have an artist background, they're able to work in the technical background, or they can manage the community. So it's doing a lot of cool things for us as a society. So what's the future look like for NFTs? So they've really brought forth a new brand, or a brand new, and lasting creative economy. They'll continue to have a major impact on society for the foreseeable future. So though there may always be scams in the marketplace, which we're going to get into in a couple slides, NFTs themselves are not a scam, and the underlying technology is what's revolutionary. It truly unlocks a totally new e-commerce and customer engagement opportunity. So this is huge for businesses. And like I mentioned, we all communicate something. We all have our personal brand every single day. We are communicating something, while not verbally, we're communicating it through our actions, through what we wear, through what we do, what we drive. And they're a way to demonstrate who we are. And that's what NFTs do as well. So there are, Gary Vee even says it out there himself, that eventually companies will not just look at your resume. They're going to look in your digital wallet and see what NFTs you own, because that speaks to your brand and who you are as a person. The use cases go far beyond gaming and digital artwork. They provide a proof of ownership that never existed before, allows companies to manage licensing more effectively, provides a social status or social currency, grants exclusive access to content, events, etc., and even event tickets. This is already happening. They're becoming NFTs, and you get that, you own that as a commemorative piece of history. One example recently would be the Super Bowl, and you can see that article headline down there. Super Bowl released tickets in the form of an NFT to commemorate the game, give fans a great experience, and made them more engaged. This was one of a kind and had never been done before. And they can transfer that ownership. They can pass that on to generations. They can give it, sell it if they want to. Another example would be the music industry. So record labels may not be as important as they once were. Musicians that generate a social media following could truly sell those NFTs. They could sell a 10,000 collection, of profile pictures or whatever they want. And that could fund them as an artist. That would allow them to continue performing and go on tour and things like that. Musicians have also started offering exclusive songs via NFT. So it's not just for a profile picture or a 2D image. There's 3D out there. A video could be an NFT. A sound could be an NFT. And artists are capitalizing on this now. This continues to revolutionize the music industry. Then the quick articles I have up here, OpenSea's all-time NFT sales volume crossed 20 billion. I pulled that's like 2 months old. So it's probably even higher now. And that's that large NFT marketplace that I mentioned earlier. Another article here about Gary Vee. So he is completely like the front runner for the NFT industry right now. He actually they just finished up last week was VCon. They actually did the largest NFT event ever. And you were only allowed to come if you were an NFT holder of his project called VFriends. So nobody else could get in. So you create that rarity and that exclusivity, and people want to be a part of it. So just a couple cool ways that I wanted to highlight how NFTs are continuing to shape the future.
Hey, Ryan, I had, it's not a question, but a comment, which I think is relevant to what you were just saying. The comment was Theta Labs and Katy Perry sold American Idol NFTs with a prize mechanism for winning singer owners, for the winning singer owners.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's amazing. And that's just one other example. You're going to continue to hear more and more of that because it's becoming more mainstream, and they realize how big this is and how revolutionary it is. So I wanted to just do a side-by-side comparison of where we've come from Web 1 to now. So Web 1, it was that like AOL dial-up with that terrible noise that we all knew in the very beginning of time with basic web pages, basic e-commerce. Web 2 is where we're at right now, where social media truly dominates anything and everything. We've got mobile access, we've got different apps, we've got corporations really monetizing our data, like we mentioned earlier. And then Web 3 is imminent. That's where we're moving towards. And that's where you have those decentralized applications. NFTs exist, VR and AR, which is the metaverse that we talked about, AI, permissionless blockchains. So that's happening right now, whether we like it or not. So we can either be left behind, or we can, educate ourselves and be a part of it and be a part of shaping it. So how do I purchase an NFT? So right now, there's only a couple ways to purchase an NFT. And remember, I said this is very, very new, this space. I mean, it has been around since 2017, but the fact that it's becoming more mainstream and just kind of working through all of this craziness and these kinks and these high fees and stuff like that is still very, very new and being worked out. But to buy an NFT, you must set up a crypto wallet. The biggest one, or biggest two really, are MetaMask and Coinbase. You have to purchase cryptocurrency. Then you have to go to OpenSea.io, go to a secondary marketplace, and find an NFT that you want to purchase. You go to the website, buy your NFT, then your NFT will show in your wallet, like the example to the right there. And I've got there you can Google this too, but if you don't have a crypto wallet and you're interested in setting one up, there's a couple nice videos out there through Coinbase, walks you through how to do it in a minute. So what are some tools utilized in Web3 and NFTs? So this to the left side here is Discord, what I talked about, a screenshot from there. This top right side is what OpenSea looks like. And I've got the kind of some of there's a million of them, but these are kind of the big ones right now. A lot of the tools that are listed. So I'm going to just show you kind of what some of this stuff looks like, because at least how I learned is just learn by doing and actually seeing it. So this would be Discord. You can see it's kind of crazy. It's kind of cumbersome. There's a lot of channels and just a lot of stuff going on. And there's a lot of money to be made in Discord because if you have a project, I mean, people will come out of the woodwork to contact you, to market, to manage your community, to scam you, to you name it, they're on here. And that's why I say we're not going to have mass adoption until we start to get away from some of these obsolete systems and programs. But this is what Discord is. And I'll show you kind of a couple other things here. So this is OpenSea, and I'll actually take you through a collection. But when you go to OpenSea, you can search for, whatever interests you. If you know about a specific collection, or you're looking for something specific, you can search it up there. This Explore page just kind of shows you what the top collections are over the past week, past 30 days, past 60 days. You can see resources, which this will help you, learn and talk about taxes and anything that you need to know. All those resources are there. And then you can see statistics, meaning, hey, what's been the top, traded NFTs for the last 24 hours, 7 days? What is the price? How many owners? So we'll talk about that a little bit when I actually get into a collection here. And I'm going to go through this very fast because I want to get to the next slides, but just to show you guys what this means, because this was crazy to me when I first got on this, and it made me so overwhelmed that I didn't even want to get into this further. But when you look at a secondary market project, and what I mean by secondary market is they have already minted on the blockchain off of their website or somewhere else, 6 months ago, and some people were involved in that. But if you're late to the game and you didn't know about it, secondary market would be your only option. So you can see how many items are in a collection here. This is a collection of 10,000. You can see how many owners there are, and what you want to start to see. And as a collection becomes more rare, is you'll see, 10,000 items, 10,000 owners. That's when your price starts to go up. But right now, each person owns, about 2. That floor price is, remember, the cheapest item in the collection. So you can click on that, see that this is the cheapest one, and you can see the price right there. This is in Ethereum. If you wanted to buy it, you could do that right here. It would connect your wallet. Remember, you would pay a gas fee, like I mentioned earlier. And that's kind of how you make your first purchase, and then it automatically shows up in your wallet. And then here just kind of tells you the volume traded for this total collection since the beginning of the collection. And, you can walk through it just like stocks or anything else. You can just kind of get a history and see what's been going on, see how many sales, see how often. And the good projects and the ones that are not scams have this blue check mark next to it. So that's something else to kind of watch out for when we talk about fraud red flags. Let me back up here. So that's OpenSea. I mentioned Rarible and Rarity Tools. Rarible is just another one that's kind of like OpenSea. Twitter, which I thought was dead, isn't, and it's the #1 used social media website when you talk about Web3 and NFTs. There is a whole huge community with Web3 and NFTs on Twitter. So if you want to get involved personally, Twitter would be your place to learn about upcoming projects and what to get involved in. When we talk about Rarity Tools, I first have to show you this. So remember, you probably want to know what drives this price. So the traits, like I mentioned earlier, so that would be your individual unique characteristics of this NFT. You can see here, if you click one and then scroll down, what traits make up this actual image, this NFT. And then you can click into them to see all the other ones in the collection that have that same matching trait. The more rare an NFT is, the higher the price will be. And I'll see, let's do price high to low, and you'll see what I mean by that. So like this one here, you can see obviously that's kind of weird, and it's obviously rare because there's only one in here that has one out of this entire 10,000 collection that has all of these traits. Now, whether or not someone's going to pay $65,000 for this remains to be seen, but someone thinks they're going to get that money for it. So that's what people want. They want the rarest NFT there is in any collection, whether they want to keep it for a long time or turn around and sell it, also known as flipping. But yeah, that's what that is. And that Rarity Tools that I mentioned is just another website where you can look up any collection and they rank the rarity for you. So that's another tool that people stay really, really close to, and kind of the NFT Bible when you talk about trading. So what are some fraud risks associated with NFTs? So I mentioned rug pull earlier, and there's a nice document article. I have a screenshot here in the end of my presentation, but hopefully it will be sent out if you haven't received it already. But it's an interesting group of people that have already been arrested and are being prosecuted for a rug pull scam. But it's essentially a scam where promoters of a project hype it up through social media, through Twitter, like I mentioned, through Discord, which we saw, and they get people to buy it. So they say, hey, our launch date is May 1st, buy this thing, you know, we're gonna whitelist people, we're gonna sign you up for our pre-sale list, all this stuff. Then they sell out their collection. So they've sold 10,000 images for, you know, say $300 a piece. You do the math on that. So that's where a lot of your money grabs come from, and people don't truly want to be involved legitimately in the NFT space. They'd rather just walk away with your money. So they make these promises like, hey, you know, with my project, if you buy into this, you're going to get merchandise, you're going to get unlockable content, you're going to get access to Metaverse games, all these promises. Then they sell their NFTs and then they walk away from it and pull the rug out from the project. So that's a rug pull essentially. Phishing is another one where a NFT phishing scam involves phony advertisements through fake websites and pop-ups that'll ask users for their private wallet keys. So anytime you set up a digital wallet, there's a 12-word security code that only you know, that nobody would ever be able to gain access to unless you provide it. So once in possession of the wallet's keys, scammers will hack into your wallet and deplete all your crypto and NFTs stored in it. The next one would be counterfeits. So this, even though we mentioned that blockchain technology can't be changed or counterfeited, people can still counterfeit your NFT. And I'll show you an example of that in a second. But this happens when scammers steal an artist's work and open a fake on an NFT marketplace where they list the counterfeit artwork for auction. And an unsuspecting buyer would then make a purchase on the NFT that really, truly has no value because, yeah, it does look like the same picture. But remember, we talked about the benefits of buying the actual, you know, NFT from the legitimate project to receive those utilities and those benefits behind it. But we'll look at what that looks like in a second. And then there's our pump and dump schemes, which refer to when a group buys up NFTs, which would artificially drive up the demand. Unsuspecting investors believe the NFTs have some value, will join that auction and start bidding more. Once the bid goes up, the scammers will sell off for profit and leave the buyers with useless assets. And then the last one here is, and again, this is not all encompassing. This is just kind of the top ones that are prevalent right now. Would be project impersonation. So fraudsters would impersonate a successful project through fake sponsored ads, sending messages to unsuspecting people with surprise giveaways, whitelisting. I don't think I mentioned whitelisting on my definitions, but that just means pre-sale list. So you don't have to compete during a public sale to buy an NFT because you've done X, Y, and Z to achieve a pre-sale spot. So that's what I mean by that.
Hey, Ryan, I got a couple of questions that came in here. First one is, when does regulation begin and the cost of regulation kick in?
Yeah, we'll talk about regulation here on my last slide, but right now crypto is being, you know, regulated under the Bank Secrecy Act, but NFTs directly are not being regulated right now. So it's kind of the Wild West. But we'll talk about regulations here in a second.
Okay. The next question is, would a screen capture / screenshot of NFT art constitute a copyright violation by the user that takes the screen cap? And then second question follow-up is, what is the degree of community interest in copyright law as it applies to the NFT marketplace?
Yeah, amazing question. And there's a lot of these projects that they're just launching and they haven't gone through the full legal vetting process, or some projects do have attorneys on board that you know are well versed in this area, but it is so new. So a lot of projects don't go through the process of trademarking and copywriting their actual art. So that is a concern, and people can still steal it like that. Now it wouldn't be the original as part of that project, but still from a legal standpoint, they're not protected. So I don't know where a screenshot falls in terms of that legal, you know, issue, but yeah, there's definitely some concerns with copyright and trademark laws.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, great questions. So this would be some of the examples of the fraud scams that I talk about. So I just looked up crypto chicks. This was that search on OpenSea that I did a second ago. So you could see the legitimate project. There's actually 2 of them, which is true. But they have that blue check mark. And then you have this one down here, which would be easy to spot for somebody that knew what they were looking for. But if it's somebody brand new to NFTs and has no clue, and they go to search crypto chicks, if you click on this, it's the same exact collection as this one. So they just stole their items and then they minted duplicates of the same item. And OpenSea, takes reports for this kind of stuff and removes them all the time. But yeah, stuff like this, that would be a project impersonation, because Crypto Chicks is a very successful project. Here's another one. These messages come through Discord all the time. Hey, congrats, you won this, just like we're used to seeing scams in the banking system and receiving, emails asking you to do wire transfers and stuff like that. It's similar, but it's, hey, you won so-and-so, just use this promo code, go to this website, put in your wallet address, and we'll dump some, Bitcoin in there, or whatever it is, whatever the details are. And then this one over here, again, an impersonation of a successful project. Adidas is involved in NFTs quite a bit and into the metaverse. So they are impersonating somebody from Adidas, calling themselves an Adidas bot, saying, hey, click here to claim your free avatar. A lot of fake websites being set up, a lot of stuff like this that will start to kind of fall to the wayside as regulations start, and as, better platform and more, protected platforms to help protect users from some of this stuff. This should help with some of that. So what are some of the money laundering risks in NFTs? So the biggest concern right now for US Treasury, and the biggest concern with NFTs, is that they can be used to self-launder, which is a process by which illicit actors would purchase an NFT initially, so they can go on to OpenSea or wherever, just like I did, with illegally obtained funds. They can transact with themselves, because you can have as many digital wallets as you want, and you can use as many providers as you want. So I could have one from Coinbase and one from MetaMask. I could I could set that wallet up, and maybe there's not a real good due diligence process that I went through, where I'm using a fake ID. I can transact with myself to create a record of ownership, then sell the NFT to a consumer for clean funds. So I could sell it to somebody that's unsuspecting and has no idea what just happened with that whole thing. And I could transfer that as many times as I want and create, a way more difficult paper trail for anybody to follow. Also, NFT traders can conduct sales peer-to-peer without the need for an intermediary. Remember, because that's what smart contracts do. We are eliminating the need for anybody else to be involved. So since transactions can be executed instantaneously, the process is really attractive to criminals that want to covertly transfer assets across borders. So that's another really big risk from a money laundering standpoint. Also, NFT trading platforms create revenue through transaction fees from NFT sales. So there's a true incentive there for the platform to design a marketplace, or design a market in which one NFT may be traded repeatedly over and over a short period of time, generating higher fees. And then the motivations for traditional art dealers to conduct due diligence, they do not apply to digital art platforms, and smart contracts often govern the transfer of NFTs. But smart contracts, the risk here is that they are structured to generate revenue with each NFT transfer, and may increase the risk of repeated transactions in a short period of time and impede the ability to conduct due diligence. So all of those are kind of the on the landscape, or on the horizon right now, for what we're watching in terms of money laundering risks associated with NFTs. And the US Treasury is keeping very close to this.
Hey, Ryan, we're just about at the 5-minute
Yep.
mark, and there are 3 questions that came in,
Sure.
and they all pretty much relate to that particular slide.
Yeah.
From an AML perspective, are we seeing the use of NFTs in the layering phase of money laundering?
I have not personally, because I don't do those, but I have read articles about that. Yes, we're seeing it on all ends, and I think it's going to continue to grow and grow the more NFTs become more mainstream.
Okay. Next question is, are we seeing NFTs being used in trade finance?
That I'm not sure of.
All right. And then the last question deals with communities. And the question is kind of a multiple question. It says, it seems like there's been a change to seeing transaction as being a part of a community which industrialization has taken us away from. Could you speak to how people in NFT communities act if they see it as valuable? And what are some good examples of community managers managing successful communities?
Yeah, so when you talk about community and NFT, they do it typically through one or two of those platforms that I mentioned. And a lot of it has to do, it's very difficult to manage and it's very difficult to launch one of these projects because there are so many moving parts and there's so many people involved. It would be essentially like if you bought a share for Walmart, for lack of a better example, and then you could just chat with every single other person in one place, like on Twitter or somewhere. You could be in a group chat with every single person that owned a Walmart share. So every single move that the company makes or that the NFT project makes, people are chatting about it. They're creating fear, uncertainty, doubt within those spaces, which then people turn around and sell their items and they tank the price. So there's a lot of volatility when it comes to NFTs. The technology is amazing, but when you're talking about wanting to make money and you hear about these people being overnight millionaires and all that, that's not the true reason for NFTs. That's just, some of the headlines and news articles that you see. The whole point of this is Web3 is building like-minded communities around this stuff because everybody that's in it right now is so new to it. So they really bounce ideas off of each other. It's really in its building phase. And that's where the community component comes in, because you have to find a way to bridge the Web2 gap and the Web3 gap. And that's where they're doing it.
Okay, great. Good answer. Thank you.
And then quickly, I can finish up, but regulations and NFTs, we've talked about the US Treasury, but they did publish a study of money laundering and terrorist financing risks associated to this. And it says overall, the conclusions that the art market should not be an immediate focus for the imposition of comprehensive anti-money laundering counter-terrorist financing requirements, but it does highlight the explosive growth of the market for non-fungible tokens as an area of concern. NFT marketplaces should pay careful attention to the Treasury's evolving interest in this space. Also, NFTs present a unique challenge for regulators due to the ease of transferring ownership, no geographical boundaries, and the ability to transfer instantly. And they also, I mentioned self-laundering, that's on here as well. Imposing regulations becomes really difficult because of the nature of the trading platforms. They all differ in structure, operations, due diligence protocols, and ownership models. And then the smart contracts also pose an additional risk because these secondary marketplaces have more of an incentive to transact rather than an incentive to conduct due diligence, because they are making a fee every single time one of these changes hands. And then cryptocurrency is really regulated at the point of exchange to reduce the risk of money laundering. But many NFT marketplaces are linked to crypto exchanges where due diligence has already been done during that initial wallet setup. And really the same regulatory foundation can and should potentially be applied to NFT marketplaces, similar to those used in the traditional art market, where there's a KYC system, ongoing monitoring, and this would really help ensure the risk of money laundering is mitigated. The last one I had here was just about that case study. If you haven't had a chance to read that, check that out because it's pretty interesting. About 2 defendants that were charged in a recent NFT fraud and money laundering scheme. And it was that rug pull that we mentioned. So they hyped this project up. They sold out for a little over $1 million. Then they shut down their website and walked away from it. So there was no community building. There was no sense of building together and being on this journey together. And they did not follow through on the promises that they made to their investors on the benefits that they would provide them. So they have been charged, and they actually caught them before they rolled out their second project, which was expected to generate 1.5 million in revenue as well. So it's great to see that there's some changes being made here, that regulations are coming, good or bad. But we need this kind of stuff. We need prosecution. We need criminals to be held liable if we're going to continue mass adoption in this space. So excuse me, I've been talking too much, but any other questions for me? Hopefully this wasn't too fast. I know I wanted to get the basics out in the beginning and then bring it back in with the money laundering risks.
Ryan, I think you've done a great job here, and I don't see any more questions, Jim. I think we're good on what we've been able to answer. One of the things that did come up were a couple people I think are looking for a copy of the deck. So if you can send that to me, I'll make sure we get that out and we'll do
Yeah,
that.
definitely. There's one other thing I didn't show here that I had open. This is just one of those where I mentioned fraud scams are becoming more and more prevalent. It's very difficult to catch this. This is the legitimate website of a really, really successful NFT project. This is one that looks almost identical, that they have an extra eye. So stuff like that, if you guys are interested in getting involved in that from a personal standpoint, really, really do your own research and really, really be mindful of some of these fraud scams that are out there. Because it's so, I come from a fraud background and I almost fell for some of it because it's so difficult to kind of sift through some of this stuff. But there are really amazing projects out there and there are so many legitimate, amazing uses for NFTs. So if you're interested in it, yeah, definitely check it out. Get involved in a project that you resonate with. But really, really appreciate the attendance and listening to me talk about something that I love and that I'm passionate about. I had actually resources on here for you guys too, but I will send this out, just some links. If you guys want more information and really want to start educating yourself in this space. In my project, MetaMom's NFT, actually, if you're a holder and you purchase one June 14th when we launch, we provide unlockable education content, one-on-one mentoring, and internship and scholarship opportunities as well. So I will, I'll send this to you, John, for you to get it out, but appreciate everybody and have a great night.
Sounds good. Thanks again, Ryan. Really appreciate it.